and welcome to Stocks Down Under. Today we're catching up again with Coby Hanoch, the CEO of Weebit Nano. Good morning, Coby.
Hi, Mark.
Good to catch up. We got a lot of questions from our readers at Stocks Down Under about the market from memory in general terms. So you got DRAM, you got flash memory, and really where does ReRAM fit in right now and also longer term? Can you just at a high level sort of break that down for us?
Okay, yeah. So the memory space in semiconductors, which by the way is the largest segment in semiconductors today, consists of two key segments. There's the volatile memories, which are really fast. You can write into them practically as much as you want, and but they lose their data if you disconnect them from power. And then there's the non-volatile memories that retain the data even when they're unplugged from power. But normally the technology that exists today, flash, is much slower. It's limited in the number of times you can write into it, et cetera, et cetera. Weebit's ReRAM is a non-volatile memory, so it's like flash. If you disconnect it from the power, it still retains the data, but it is significantly faster than flash. It's much closer to the speed of DRAM, which is a volatile memory. It's also much lower power consumption and can retain the data very long. It has a lot of advantages over flash, and it's also much easier, simpler to manufacture. So actually it'll be lower cost to manufacture it than flash.
Right, okay. And so with your products, ReRAM, you've already signed a commercial client for that, SkyWater, and hopefully you'll sign a lot more. Can you talk a little bit about the monetization model there? Because you've got the royalty component, you've got the license component, there's some what they call non-recurring engineering work that you get paid for. Just talk our viewers through, and again, at a high level, sort of what components there are and what that looks like in a particular contract with a customer.
So I split the memory world into volatile and non-volatile. There's also a split between embedded and discrete or standalone. So, today, since everything's been shrinking so fast in the semiconductor world, you can put a full system on a single chip, what's called a system on a chip. And that's really, the most popular way. The core of digital circuits is normally such an SoC, a system on a chip. And in that system on a chip, you have a processor, communication, all kinds of elements, and obviously you have to have some memory in there. So we embed our ReRAM into that system on a chip. The other type is a discrete or standalone memory where the full chip is only memory. Weebit today is focused on the embedded space. That's kind of the lower hanging fruit, the easier market to penetrate, and we have a very, very good solution for it today.
Right.
So in that market, you actually have three players. There's Weebit, there's the end customer that puts Weebit's ReRAM into their chip, and then there's the fab that goes and manufactures that chip. So the model is IP licensing because we don't actually own the product. It's the customer that owns the product. So the customer will come to us and pay us a certain license fee when they engage. Many times, like you said, they'll want us to do some adaptation and modify the memory a bit so that it fits into their SoC in a better way, and that's the NRE. And then once they get to mass production, they will pay us royalties per chip that they sell. So that's the common business model in the embedded space. By the way, there's another model which our agreement with SkyWater has both options, that the fab itself goes to their customers and offers our memory, and basically the fab kind of as a package deal with their customer has it included, and then the fab pays us royalties on the wafers that they sell to the customer.
Right. Okay. And part of the process of working with these customers is the qualification of your technology into their products, right? So can you talk a little bit about what that is, who it's for, and why it's needed?
Qualification is the process of certifying that you're actually ready for production. You know, there's a standards body called JEDEC that defines what testing, what kind of procedures you need to go through in order to kind of get that stamp of approval that you're ready for mass production. And we're going through that process right now. You know, obviously, as most of these cases go, you start off from simple baby steps, and then you go more and more advanced until you reach full-blown tests. So we're actually doing that right now with the wafers that we have from Leti. Leti isn't a mass production facility, but its fabs are just like mass production facilities. They're very advanced. And so the process that we're doing at Leti is very interesting for other production fabs. And we're very happy to get some really good results there. And it's, you know, crossing my fingers, but everything's looking very good right now.
All right. Excellent. So one thing is that's keeping our readers, the question that one of the questions that came up is, so in those qualifications, how can you test for retention, for instance, where you're maybe guaranteeing 10 years retention of data in these memory cells? How can you do that if you don't have 10 years to actually sort of test that out? How do you do that in a really short space of time?
Yeah, that's a very good question. And what happens is there's a certain equation that basically says, you know, 10 years at, let's say, 30 degrees Celsius are equivalent to, for example, 1 year at 80 degrees. I'm just throwing numbers right now. But, you know, so what we actually do is we take our chips and we put them in an oven for whatever period of 500 or 1,000 hours at higher temperatures, which, according to this equation, equate to 10 years at 85 degrees or at 125, etc. That's basically how you do it.
Yeah, okay. And then, of course, yeah, the million-dollar question is, how are things going at SkyWater with the initial qualification? Can you talk a little bit about what's going on? It's now the middle of August, so you've been at it not for that long, but still, there might be some things that you can share with us how that's going at SkyWater.
We did our tape out to SkyWater. We finished transferring the technology to them. You know, it was the first time that we actually transferred the technology to a mass production facility, and that's always very exciting when you finish it. You see that all the testing, everything is fine, and you can finally do the tape out, release the design to manufacturing. They went through the first process of generating the masks, which is, you know, the basic thing that you need when you're manufacturing semiconductors. And now we're already in the fab and in the process of manufacturing. Now, manufacturing semiconductors isn't something that happens overnight. It takes a few months before you actually get it back from the fab. We expect to get the wafers back before the end of the year, so that once we have them, we can start the qualification process on those wafers. And you know, the plan is by sometime early in 23 to have qualification results also on SkyWater.
Right, that's good. And so looking at that timeline, when realistically could people expect revenues from the SkyWater deal?
So with SkyWater, again, there's the three players. There's us, there's SkyWater, and then there's the customer who actually needs to embed our technology into their chip. Generally speaking, for customers, this is, you know, taking an IP and putting it into their chip is a very, very important strategic decision, because they're basically betting their whole product on the IP working. And, you know, obviously when it's a new technology, something new in the market, There's always concern. Everyone wants to see it working first with someone else. You know, my example is a new bridge that was built over a very deep valley, and they put a new bungee there, and they come to you and they say, "Hey, you know, you're the lucky winner. You can be the first one to jump off the bridge with that bungee. You know, come on." And obviously, people are hesitating. So they're very excited about our results. Everyone's really positive, but we just need to get that first one to cross the line and start working. Normally, they just want to see the results of the qualification. So we're trying to pull them and get them to basically understand that, yeah, we'll be doing the qualification, but you know, everything will be fine, and they can already start working with us now. And that's basically what we're doing. And once we get them signed up, they'll have to embed it into their chip. And then, you know, that's a process that takes time to design the chip and embed it and so on. So, I mean, realistically, it can take them, you know, a year or maybe a little bit more till they get to mass production when we get the royalties. So we will get licensing or NRE, and then the royalty will be later.
All right. And so, let's say early next year, you will have the qualification at SkyWater done, the qualification at 28 nanometers at Leti, that will be hopefully be sort of completed. And how does that help in attracting, you know, once you sign up new customers, does that speed up their qualification process? Is there, you can potentially use, I guess, the Leti results for any customer? I'm sure SkyWater wouldn't be happy if you use some of their results for other companies, but how does that work? Would it speed up qualification at other fabs at some point?
We are talking today to quite a few other fabs. There's a lot of interest right now in ReRAM. There's a lot of interest in Weebit. People have seen our initial qualification results at Leti, and I think people are very excited about them. So there's a lot going on right now in the background. At the end of the day, you have to go through a full qualification process from the very beginning. With every new fab, with every new process that you go through. So the results are really helping us in terms of removing some of that fear and objection to a new IP coming to the market. And in that sense, it's really helping us. The other fabs that are seeing now the results from Leti are feeling much more comfortable to talk to us. But we will need to go through a full qualification with SkyWater and then with any other fab that we work with.
Right. Okay. So it might not really speed up the qualification at other players then, although it will help give them confidence, but they will want to do their own qualification, the full scope.
Yeah, it will speed up getting to an agreement with them, because now they can feel a little more confident.
Yeah,
so,
someone jumped off the bridge already before them.
Yeah, to a certain extent, yeah.
Yeah, all right. And a little while ago, you announced that you were working on 22 nanometer FD SOI. Can you update us on the status of that? How's that progressing?
That's progressing well. The team is working full speed ahead on that. We have a really good team, a really good cooperation between our team and Leti on that. And you know, I believe that again, before the end of the year, I hope to see already some results on that front.
All right. Then a question that always comes back, and you mentioned that you talk to quite a few fabs and players in general. Is there anything you can say in terms of how those conversations are going? I know it's a difficult question, but we get asked that question all the time, so I'm just relaying it to you.
Well, if I got $1 for every time I get asked that question, I wouldn't need to do any fundraising anymore.
Right.
So it's as I said, we're talking to several other fabs. There is a lot of interest. Once we have something concrete and real, we'll let the market know.
So you will be in Australia in early September, I believe. You're doing a couple of cities that you're
Yes.
You're visiting. Is that something
finally, after 2.5 years, I really miss Australia already, so I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, we miss you too, Coby. It's a good thing that you're back. And I guess you announced something about that, but is this accessible to retail investors as well to meet you face to face, or how would that work?
Yeah, there was a release, I believe, yesterday. We'll be visiting Melbourne, Sydney, and Perth, and in each one of the cities, we announced that we'll have an open session to whoever wants to come. You need to RSVP, but it's open, and I'm really looking forward to seeing our loyal shareholders and also new people who are interested in Weebit. So I hope many of your viewers right now will sign up and join, and I'm looking forward to meeting them.
We'll definitely promote the hell out of this, Coby. That's because I think it's really important to meet you guys face to face. So, and also,
especially Daddy will be joining me, so it won't be just me, and we're really looking forward to meeting everyone again after so long.
Yeah, and also Daddy, like you said, the former #2 at Intel, right? That's a really big name to have on your board. I keep telling investors that Weebit Nano has got basically a board full of rock stars when it comes to semiconductors, right? So and non-volatile memory. So it's good for them to be able to meet Daddy as well. Final question, Coby, and then we'll leave it there. But this is something that we talked about in our previous interview, where we sort of looked at the ReRAM space, and you talked about some of your peers that are no longer there. And basically, in the current state of the market, you've got this small company out of Tel Aviv offering ReRAM technology. And then there's the big one in Taiwan, TSMC, who seems to be, for now, the only one that actually offers some ReRAM technology to its customers. Can you talk a little bit about that dynamic? Because again, we got questions about that. So you've got basically a smaller sort of startup versus basically the incumbent in Foundry offering a technology in this space, which is really up and coming. But maybe you can shed some light on the dynamics there and how people should look at this.
Yeah, it's an interesting situation today. TSMC is by far the largest fab in the world, and they announced that they have a ReRAM solution, which actually for us that was a great development, because now all the other fabs are suddenly, oh my God, we need something to counter that, and so it really gave us a push forward. I mean, there are all kinds of other solutions. There were, I guess, other ReRAM startups or smaller companies. We've been seeing them disappearing one after the other, so in reality, I'm feeling like we are really the one main player among the newer companies, let's say.
Yeah.
And there are some other ReRAM solutions kind of here and there, but I think today it's really ending up being TSMC or Weebit as the key players right now, and it's very exciting for us.
Yeah, absolutely, good position to be in. All right. Well, thank you very much, Coby. It's been very informative. Unfortunately, we won't be able to catch up when you're in Sydney because I'll be overseas. But I wish you all the best with the meetings with investors, and we will certainly suggest to our readers and viewers that they should sign up for that meeting. Good luck with that trip, and thank you again for giving us a bit of your time.
Well, thank you very much.